It's no lie that a lot of the time coming up with creative ideas for product photography is just really hard. And we can put so much pressure on ourselves to try and be creative, and we start to overthink things and say to ourselves, is this too creative? Is this not creative enough? And look, it's just a lot sometimes. After working with many of my clients, I've come to realize that there are certain styles of photos that our clients always love, and the reason for that is because they do well. They're attractive to look at on social media, they're eye-catching for paid ads, and they work nicely on our clients' websites. And so in this video, I want to give you 6 go-to styles of photos that you can fall back on when you're running low on creative energy that you know will be a hit with your clients. Especially if you have a deadline to meet and you're just not feeling it, you can whip these out. They're kind of like foolproof styling concepts that always work. Now you might be thinking, okay, Amanda, that's great, but wouldn't this mean that my work will start to look like the work of others? And honestly, I just don't think that there's any new original ideas. Everyone's taking inspiration from everybody else. But the way that you make it original to you is you put your spin on the image. You can still do the same style of photo as another photographer, yet you can still make it look different by paying close attention to your camera angle, the style of the lighting, the color palette, the props you use, the composition. You can make it your own. Now, before we dive into the video, you may or may not already know that I created an online course for the photographer who wants to get a head start in this industry of brand photography and make a professional career out of it. It's called Become a Brand Photographer, and it's the online course that I wish I had when I started. I'll take you from 0 to pro and help you make your mark in this industry to build a photography business that is both sustainable and profitable. 2 very important things. And you'll find heaps of behind the scenes content, Photoshop tutorials, how to price your work, pre-production processes and onboarding, email templates, and just heaps more stuff. So many of my students are loving the course, and the feedback just honestly makes my heart and soul so happy. I'm actually having an end of financial year sale right now on Become a Brand Photographer, which will give you an amazing discount on the course. So if you've had your eyes on it for a while, now is the best time to join. You can also watch my free masterclass if you'd love a taste of what is inside the course, and I'll leave all those links in the description box below for you to check out. Now, this video will cover 6 go-to styling concepts, but if you want 6 more, so 12 in total, which is practically a whole shoot, you can find those inside the course Become a Brand Photographer as well. But for now, let's dive into the video. Go-to style number 1, which is water ripple photography. This is one of my favorite styles of photos. It does so well on social media and it's really easy to style. So let's look at some of the behind the scenes. So the first thing that you'll need is a vinyl backdrop, whatever color suits the brand that you're working with, and lay that down. This one is from Club Backdrops. It's a custom color. I absolutely love the quality of their custom color backdrops, so I get all of mine from Club Backdrops. The next thing that you'll want to use is a really big acrylic tray like this one. Now, these are definitely an investment in your kit. They run for about $200 to $300 depending on where you are in the world, depending on who you get them from. This one is from the Everyday Co. It's about $2.99. I do have a discount code for you guys, which is in the description box below if you want a little discount on that. But these acrylic trays make their money back really quickly, so they are an investment. But the amount of water shots that I do, I love doing water photography, 100% worth to invest in an acrylic tray that is of this size. The more room, the better. And it's a perfect depth as well. It's water sealed, so you don't want anything leaking, which is why they are a bit more expensive. But yeah, highly recommend. We've got our product here. I'm just shooting the Lust Minerals self-tanning product. Just really love the packaging and the pink color really. So we're gonna secure it to the acrylic tray with some blue tack. And I kind of just pop it in the middle because I'm gonna be taking the shot from a bit of a side angle here. Cool, and now we are ready to add our water. So I like to pour enough water into the tray that will cover the whole surface of the tray. I usually do about 3 big bowls worth of water. Now my 2 go-to styles for moving the water is to just move the tray back and forth with my hands. I actually really love this effect. Otherwise, I also use a hairdryer for a little bit more of an intense ripple effect as well. So these are the final images. The one on the left is using the hairdryer and the one on the right is moving the tray back and forth. So you can see the difference between these 2 actions of moving the water. Now to make this your own, you could add a colored vinyl backdrop below the acrylic tray that matches the brand. You could use food coloring like I did in this photo here. This is actually one of my favorite photos. I love the lighting. I love the beautiful blue color. You could also add blocks like this image here. I also got creative with this backdrop and the placement of the products. You could add fresh fruit depending on what your product is, like this image here as well. I have also linked the acrylic tray in the description box below. It's from the Everyday Co, and there's also a discount that you can use as well. Go-to style number 2, which is the hero shot. This shot is where your product is sitting up on a block or a plinth, whatever, and your camera is looking up at the product, making it look powerful and like a hero. You can do so many things to make this type of photo your own. You might want to add flowers, greenery, fresh fruit, other blocks, even the texture or the liquid of the product. Whatever prop makes sense for the product and the brand that you're shooting for. You can then change the color of the background or the block to match the brand that you're working with. I like to use my 100mm macro lens for these shots as I just think it makes the product look really nice and like extra powerful. I'm a fan of hard light, so I like having a slight shadow on the block as well. So this is the final result from this scene. We went from a plain and boring shot like this to an eye-catching and visually interesting image that is bright, bold, and fun. I'm actually completely obsessed with this image. Go-to style number 3, hand in frame. You can never go wrong with adding a human element to your photos. Now, if you're no hand model, this would be something that you'd want to hire out to a model who has nice hands. I usually use my own hands for my photos. This is why I ensure that my nails are kept at a nice length, and of course, there is always some retouching involved in post-production as well to make them look even better. So let's take a look at a quick behind the scenes on how I took this image here. Now, a really simple and easy hand shot that you can do where you don't really need anyone else's assistance is to have a 24 to 70mm on your camera. I have mine set at 70mm, and flip screens are a lifesaver. Otherwise, you can do remote trigger and remote shutter. So what I'm going to be doing is actually putting it this way and flipping the photo in post-production so that the product is standing up. So I'm just gonna place my hand where I want it. I can see what's happening. And I'm just gonna make sure my arm is also straight and not on like an angle here. Just make sure my arm's straight, the product is in the center, and the lighting is good, and then I'm basically just gonna take the photo here. So this is basically the raw photo here, and I did do a full background replacement and further retouching to elevate the photo. And let's take a look at some other hand shots that you could try. Go-to style number 4, which is the repeating pattern style. The beauty of this style of image is that it can be done with any kind of product, and it's super eye-catching and very quick and easy to do. And no, you won't need 10 of the same product. I really loved how this image I took with the Naked Sundays SPF turned out. And your first step is basically to shoot the product on a surface, and the rest is done inside of Photoshop, where you can play around with your pattern, your composition, and the shadow if you choose. So for our multiple product pattern shot, I'm going to be using this piece of purple cardboard. This is just from Officeworks, just to match the product color. I'm going to place my product there like that, and basically I'm just going to take that shot as it is. I'm going to be paying attention to my shadow because I am going to be keeping the original shadow in the final image. So I might just slightly adjust the shadow a tiny little bit just so I'm happy with it. But basically get your angle, take the shot, and you're good to go. I usually like to keep my original shadow in, and if you want a full tutorial on how to do this in Photoshop, there is a step-by-step Photoshop training inside my course, Become a Brand Photographer. Go-to style number 5, which is the Shelfie. Now, this can be done with any kind of product on any kind of shelf surface to match the brand you're working with. You can add any other kinds of props to this image to create more visual interest. It's also great if you have multiple products that you need to display. I actually show you a full behind the scenes on how to style and shoot this type of photo in my free masterclass, which you can watch right now. So I'll link that in the description box below. I essentially go through my lighting setup, the gear I've used, and yeah, you can just see a behind the scenes of how I have set everything up. So because that behind the scenes segment is a little bit longer and more detailed, it's inside that free masterclass that you can watch at any time. Go-to style number 6 is showcasing ingredients. So for any products you work with that have some sort of like fresh fruit, flowers, greenery that are either in the product or the product is inspired by these ingredients, is a foolproof, amazing go-to style that will 100% work for any shoot. I also like to check the product description on my client's website in case they've used any kind of describing words that hint to a certain ingredient. And the key with these is to create balance in your shots. So some examples of these images I did for my client Bondi Boost. There were a lot of ingredients I had to source for this shoot. Some were harder than others to get. Here's a little behind the scenes I took during the shoot of my lighting setup. I basically had one light on the left with a bare bulb, and I used a diffuser to just diffuse the light a little bit more and soften it. And then I had a light on the right hand side with a big softbox. This shoot was for 20 images and it took me around 2 full days to get this done. And the one thing that I was trying to pay attention to in all of these images was how the ingredients created balance around the product. So this means paying attention to the product shape and trying to contour your product with the actual ingredients. This of course does take some experimenting, but I was super happy with how they turned out. And then there was much retouching done inside of Photoshop to get these images finalized. I actually had to shoot the labels at a different angle because they were so reflective, and I basically composited the labels from this image here onto the flat lay image so that you could actually read what the products were. So there was a lot going on in this shoot at all stages of the project, from pre-production, shooting, and post-production. Now, this tutorial continues inside my course, Become a Brand Photographer, where I cover 6 more styling concepts you can use that your clients will love. Don't forget to check out the end of financial year sale on the course happening right now. So go and check out the description box below for that link. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. But I hope that you have found this video helpful and that you can just whip these out when you're feeling creatively blocked or just when you're doing your pre-production work for your clients. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.